From the atrocity that was that one Scarlett Johansson attempt of making the Ghost in the Shell movie, to the Dragon Ball film that if I speak its name out loud is gonna cause fans all over to recoil in disgust.
What the hell is even that?
Hollywood has a massive amount of misfires when it comes to adapting things like anime. And only just recently have we seen improvements in what they've been doing, such as in the One Piece adaptation. But for the longest time, the only anime projects to ever get a semblance of recognition were those that had the name Ghibli associated to them. And it was like that for such a long time. Overall, I can easily say that Hollywood has such a negative view on anime and actually animation in general. Aside from the branches of DreamWorks and Disney, you're not gonna find Hollywood really emphasize animation departments or divisions all too much. I mean, take a look at adult animation from the last 30 years. Why does it look so bad?
Ew! Dude! What the fuck?
The only reason that Hollywood's been shifting gears a little bit is because fans have been overwhelming the market when it comes to absorbing anime that's coming out of Japan. More and more people have been joining the weeb community like it's a goddamn cult. And of course, Hollywood has taken notice, but not in the way that you really want them to. Because all over, wherever you're looking in this media landscape, I see interviews about different Hollywood executives talking about how they're willing to use things like AI to make your favorite franchises back into anime so you can enjoy them in a completely different view. Like, take for instance, this one executive from Lionsgate that's saying that he can make a really low-cost, low-budget version of Twilight in anime as long as he's able to use AI. Which, to be honest, is something that I feel like no one asked for. This is showing us just how badly these companies want to just make money and just try to swindle you from every buck that you have. Because if a piece like this were to come into existence, it wouldn't be because it's transformative or because it's going to highlight the story in a new, different way. This is just going to be a money grab. And it's going to be done poorly because they're not going to be paying animators the amount that they should, and they're not going to give them enough time to work on it that they should as well. The perception of anime in the Western world, and especially when it comes to the top executives, is that it is a weird genre that people are into. They don't understand that it's a different kind of art in general, that inhabits different genres, period pieces, different places, different everything. They only really see it as one thing. And I think that is exceptionally highlighted in this recent interview done with some of the higher-ups of Comics Wave Films, the studio that brought us pretty much every single Makoto Shinkai movie. You know, the company that brought us Your Name, Weathering with You, Suzume. Noritaka Kawaguchi, the founder of the studio, as well as Mei Onishi, the representative for the overseas branch, talk about how Hollywood has this really negative view on just anime in general, along with a few other things, such as current ongoing adaptations that Hollywood's been planning. Because as you probably know or don't know, there's a Your Name adaptation that has been stuck in some sort of development hell for pretty much the longest time. So I mean, they've had their fair share of time talking with Hollywood executives and different studios, talking about different anime adaptations and different things that they can just do in general. And something that they mention here is how when speaking to Hollywood executives, sometimes they're gonna come to them with this project, this idea that in order to make live action would have this exorbitant fee. It would be high budget and it would be way too much resource intensive. So then they ask, why can't we just make this into an anime to just bring costs down? That's all the Hollywood executives really think of or use anime for. They want to do something that is really low budget that they know is going to make a ton of money. But right off the bat, they're already missing the mark because they misunderstand the amount of money that it actually takes to make a good movie or a good anime series. A good example of this is a direct quote of their story about an executive coming up to them saying that they want to make a project for under 20 billion yen when it takes 30 billion yen to even make the series. There's not going to be too many good series and movies that are going to be made below that cost. But then again, you got to see why anime is so low budget. It's not because the medium itself is easy to do. It'd only be easy to do if you use things like AI, but that is definitely going to be something that's frowned upon. Anime in general is low cost because of the mistreatment of artists all over when making these series. They're paid the bare minimum when it comes to making different animation cells for one episode. Many artists can't even get a living wage in Japan with what they earn, and sometimes they have to stick to these organizations like the Anime Dormitory that actually help them live. Hollywood and Hollywood executives only see the cost-effective side of things without taking in the whole picture. And of course, by thinking of making a series as low cost as possible, then you're definitely thinking of making a series that's gonna be absolutely just half-assed. You're not gonna have flashy, amazing amazing fight sequences like in Demon Slayer. You're not gonna have amazing stylistic choices like in Chainsaw Man or JoJo's. You're just gonna get a bottom of the barrel filler show that is really not worth a damn. And I like that the higher ups of Comics Wave Films talk about how not everything needs to be in anime. Very few already existing IPs here in the West fit into being made into an anime. The Scott Pilgrim series did so well because when it was originally being made, Brian Lee O'Malley was heavily influenced by things like manga and anime. So of course, when it was being made, it was much more of a natural fit. From the character designs to things like even the music, it all really meshed well together. If you're looking at any teen novel like Twilight, Hunger Games, or Divergent, or anything in that sphere, just really, you gotta think about, does any of that actually sound like it would make a watchable series in an anime format? Well, maybe Twilight. I think I could actually see that as like a shoujo series. Hollywood executives just have a pretty big misunderstanding when it comes to anime in general. And then they talk about something that has always irked me about the movie making industry when it comes to things like award season. Because here, they very blatantly talk about how Makoto Shinkai's films have never been really talked about in terms of awards because it's never been really eligible to, mainly because of the production studio that it comes from, showing just how biased these awards truly are, because unless you are in one certain clique, you aren't gonna fit in. They said that they've probably ruined Makoto Shinkai's chances at being nominated because they went with the distributor of Funimation instead of going with someone like Sony, because with Sony, they actually would have had a shot of having their own movie being nominated. That is what essentially would put a stop to that Makoto Shinkai hype train, because I swear to God, Your Name could have won Best Animated Movie just in general when we look at that award season that year. Things like this just really suck because we see that certain kinds of media or certain kinds of shows and movies don't get recognized because they aren't allowed to. Though they did talk about how nowadays it is slowly becoming easier for other movies to become nominated and to win as well, talking about Flo and The Boy and the Heron, which again, a Ghibli movie. And now on the other side of things, I can kind of talk about how I see things like live action anime productions, because these are things that everyone's been trying to clamor for the last few years now. Because there's the Claymore movie, there's Your Name, there's One Punch Man, there's the My Hero Academia movie with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as All Might. All these different things are movies from the past 10 years or so that have been greenlit by Hollywood but haven't been made just yet. And I just always gotta question myself, how exactly do they plan to make these movies or plan to make these projects, however they end up? How do they plan to make these justifiable to make? Because so far, the only real anime adaptation that I've actually really enjoyed from Hollywood probably has to be like Edge of Tomorrow or something like that. That's one of the very few that got the feel down, that nailed pretty much everything. Sure, they changed the story and the characters a lot, but they still made something that worked very well. These movies that are in production or probably in development hell, where I think they mainly are, I just wonder what they're planning to do with them. And nowadays, I am getting a little bit more worried as time goes on, because every time that I log into something like TikTok, I'm seeing this AI adaptation from Star Wars or Batman or Superman. And while it looks spectacular, you gotta remember that people had nothing to do with that really. It was a prompt that someone typed in and then a computer generated that image. This is that cheap, easy to make content that Hollywood is talking about. And if someone at home can just type this into a machine, then pretty much think about what Hollywood's gonna be able to do right now with a budget that is a lot higher. That would take away the need for people to just be involved, period. But so far, we haven't gotten to that step, and I don't know if we will anytime soon. There's gonna have to be a company that pulls the trigger the first time around. But I can say that I'm not really truly excited for that live action Steins Gate that's gonna be coming out. Unless it's set in 2010 and in Akihabara, I don't think they're gonna be able to do it any justice whatsoever. And while the Hollywood executive might think in this way of just using AI and just using anime in this really lowbrow fashion, other people in Hollywood don't have that same negative opinion of AI in general. When it comes to actual creators like directors, they actually show so much recognition for the medium as a whole. I mean, just think about how many times you've seen something like the Akira slide in a piece of media in general. Or you can think about things that, while not anime adaptations, were heavily influenced by anime, such as The Matrix made by the Wachowskis. I still hope that people are going to be able to do good with things like anime, but we haven't gotten to a point where we're consistently seeing it come to fruition. When we see a good project come out, we see it more like a one-off and not like it's actually the norm. But with that, I think that pretty much rounds off my thoughts on why I think anime is just kind of hated by Hollywood. But as always, what do you guys think about this? Do you guys think I'm just overreacting a little bit, or is this something that we think is actually a little bit more of a serious issue? Please let me know down in the comments below. And as always, I was Randy, and I'll be seeing y'all next time. Peace.